Okay. All right, here we go. Hey, Craig, thank you so much for joining me today. Super excited to talk with you and just to hear more about your journey. And I think it'd be helpful for those watching if you just took a couple minutes and told everybody who you are and maybe a little bit about your real estate journey and your story and who is Craig.
So we'll give like a little elevator pitch here, I guess, then, just a
Okay.
little quick synopsis of the past, 23 years of my life. So, so yeah, jumped into real estate back in 2002, before a lot of people that are in real estate were born, a lot of people that I'm meeting now. So it doesn't seem like that long ago, but it was a while ago, I guess, here now. But yeah, it was quite a journey. Back in 2002, this is before the market, exploded in 2005. And the Lord, I'm a person of faith, so man, the Lord led me into this thing. It's a whole nother story how I got into real estate. But when that happened, when that door was open, I jumped in, experienced pretty good success quickly. In my first, I don't know, 22 months of being in the business, I was able to help about 85 different groups of people, enter into home ownership or sell or buy. It was mostly buyers in that beginning time period. In my second full year of real estate, I was so busy working, I don't know, like 8 days a week, trying to keep it all together. Had no team, had no admin, had nothing. So I hired an assistant in 2004 to help me get through that year. And then at the end of 2004, I went ahead and started a team. And that team we called Team Dynamo. And I began to just add, agents to it to help me. Because I was very good at generating, new relationships with people. Very hard to maintain them all, hard to follow through. And so I found agents in my office, and my initial office, which was a local, large, locally owned company that was not a franchise, but it was a local company. And we had grown to become the number one real estate company in Gainesville, Florida. And but anyway, from there, I began to create this team concept, because that team concept didn't even exist in my brokerage company, but I knew that I needed to have something like that. And I had built some relationships with a few folks that were not in my company outside the market area that did have teams. And I began to learn how they did it. And I thought, ooh, this is what I need. And so I began to figure out a way to put my own team together. And we did that. We called it Team Dynamo, and began to grow that throughout the years.
Hmm, that's awesome. Very
Yeah.
cool. And so then how did we start this conversation? How do we connect? Where
Oh
did,
my gosh.
where did Flourish come in?
So like the path of it's like the journey, right? So the journey of for my personal journey of being, in real estate, working at this local company for 12 and a half years, having built a reputation, a name in Gainesville, Florida. And then 12 years in, the Lord began to stir my heart again and began to show me that there was a season that I was in was coming to an end, and he was going to start a new season with me. And I thought, okay, where are we going now? And through a series of events, I ended up at a Keller Williams conference in 2014. And at the conference, I was invited to go there because the local Keller Williams office in Gainesville, Florida, they were struggling really bad because the market had crashed in 2008. And the recovery was starting, but the Keller Williams office here never really recovered well. And so they were looking for someone to come in and really help kind of like turn it around. Of course, I had zero interest in that because, I mean, like at that time, I was the number one agent in the city at the number one real estate company in the city. And they were like, well, you want me to come to a sinking ship? Like, that does not make any sense to me. But in looking at things, I went to this conference, and, God spoke to me in the conference, and he told me, he says he was going to take me, put me into a failing real estate company in Gainesville, Florida, and he was going to turn it around and make it the number one real estate company in the city. And I heard this, and then he showed me this vision, and this is going to sound like a lot, I know, but I saw a vision at the conference where it was a stadium full of people, and he told me, he goes, these are the lives I'm going to impact for good.
Hmm.
And literally, it was like a fire went off in my soul. And I called my wife when I went home, and I said, I think this is it. I said, I don't know anything about Keller Williams, but I think God is putting me here. Anyway, long story short, within a week, I was at Keller Williams because my company that I was with decided to fire me. And so I had to go to Keller Williams. And within about 2.5 years, we were able to kind of build a foundation with the new office, and we created another company. We changed the name, changed ownership, created a new Keller Williams company. And within a 7-year period, we became the #1 real estate company in Gainesville, Florida. It was unbelievable. Keller Williams became the largest real estate company that has ever existed in Gainesville. And it's thriving greatly right now to this day. So I was there for 10 years and, built a team, grew my team, did all these great things. And then in 2023, the Lord began to, I wouldn't say he told me, but I wasn't listening this time because I was so caught up in what I was doing and like who I was and what I was building. And he was giving me some signs that he was getting ready to change things, but I was really not wanting to hear, because I was wanting to make what I wanted to make bigger and better and greater and grow and expand and do all these things and had all this purpose and passion and drive. But then ultimately, I felt like I was working in quicksand. It was like the more I worked, the worse things got. I couldn't grow as like I wanted to grow. I couldn't, expand like I wanted to expand. It was like a lot of working, a lot of striving. So finally, I got to a point where I was just very unhappy, not with Keller Williams or the people, but myself. Like internally, I wasn't being fulfilled. And so I began to just pray about it and just different things. And finally, the Lord said to me, he goes, your problem is you don't want to surrender to me. You want to do everything on your own power and you want to make it happen, but you won't surrender to what I'm telling you to do. And I just said, I don't even know why, but I'm afraid because, I spent so much time like building this thing and my identity has gotten wrapped up into what I'm doing. And he said, that's your problem. You're too much focused on what you're doing and not who you are in me. And so anyway, long story short, I ended up, finally submitting. And then he began to just dismantle my team altogether. And he says at the end of 2023, he goes, you're going to go back into selling real estate. You're going to stop building this big business and you're going to be quiet. You're going to be still and you're going to spend more time with me. You're going to stop all these things that you're doing, all these events and activities and, things that you're doing to try to build your name. And he goes, you're going to get quiet. And so I spent about 14 months of just, helping people, serving in my community, selling real estate, with a partner, very small business now. And then in that period of time, he says, okay, now you're ready. And I'm going to show you what's next. And so anyway, from there, he began to bring people into my world. He said, I'm going to bring people into your life that you need to meet. And it was funny. I happened to be in San Antonio because I was shadowing a good friend of mine named Dusty Oglesby. He was doing a one-day seminar on his new venture that God is moving him into. And I knew I was going to help him, build that. And so I went out to shadow him so I can see what he was doing. And while I was in San Antonio, I had some great interactions with a lot of people that happened to be with Real. And in those interactions, the Lord was speaking to me and he was opening my eyes to say, pay attention to what I'm doing at this company. And so I said, okay. I began to pay attention. While I was there, I was having a Bible study with online Bible study with some people that I do with every single week. And one of my friends said, hey, I got a buddy of mine that I want you to meet. He just moved to Gainesville from Denver. And I think you guys need to meet each other. And so I said, okay. So we met when I got back to Gainesville. And he happened to be with the Flourish Network with you. So we got to talking. Him and I connected, really, really well. And in that conversation, I really loved this guy. And I said, look, I need to know about the guy that runs your team. Who is this guy? And so he began to tell me about, Dave Umphris. And so I said, I got to talk to this guy, And so we got on the phone call. You and I had a phone conversation. And on that call, I knew from the first time that we, talked on the phone. I didn't say this to you, but I knew on that call that God was doing something with our relationship. He was going to start a new relationship. The reason that is because what I have been building in Gainesville, Florida, our whole purpose was, what can we do to impact our communities? What can we do to impact our families? What can we do to impact each other individually? How do we make a difference and make an impact on the world? We called it Be the Give Back. And as I talked with you and I learned about your concept of the Flourish Collective, and I thought, you know what, these two visions are in complete alignment. And there's got to be something that we can do together in partnership, not to just sell more houses, because yay, we sold 1 million houses. So what? Like, what are we doing? How are we leveraging the gift that God's given us? How are we leveraging this talent of helping people buy and sell? How do we have an influence and an impact on the people that we're meeting with every day to help them also flourish in their personal lives, in their communities, and their families? How do we address brokenness that's going on around the world? What can we do? So that was the thing that really moved me to a point where I said, man, I got to lean into this relationship a little bit more and see what's going on here.
No, that's so good. I mean, a lot of people watching right now probably have no idea what Flourish Collective is. So maybe I'll just take a minute and just kind of give people a quick backstory and then one or two more questions for you. But so just real fast, I mean, in 2012, when I got into real estate, I came from a nonprofit background. So having some sort of impact on causes I cared about as a result of running a business has always been important to me. And so early on in 2012, that looked like starting with work with some friends that we already loved the work they were doing in sub-Saharan Africa with water and HIV work. And that continued, and that is still a phenomenal partnership for us. But in 2019, a mentor of mine was looking at a story from thousands of years ago where basically the Israelites, God's people, had gotten carried off into exile and they were living in Babylon, and they thought they were just going to be there temporarily. And God says, listen, guys, settle in. You're going to be here for a while. Ended up being 70 years. And he said, I want you to seek the peace and prosperity of the city at which I've carried you off into. And basically, like this mentor that was sharing this story with me asked, he said, in this instance, these people were told, you're going to be here for a while. I want you to settle in and seek the flourishing of the community in which you're in. And he asked me a question that probably changed the trajectory of this business forever. He said, where do you see brokenness in your community and in your industry? And what do you feel like you're being called to do about it? And that really caused me and some of the leadership within Flourish to pause and ask, is there things that we should be doing locally as a result of this business and not just, international causes? And so that led us on this whole journey of redefining Flourish and focusing much more on causes that are really impacting our community. It was very easy to get on a plane and fly to Kenya for a couple of weeks and take a bunch of photos and videos for Instagram and shake some hands and be the hero. And that was super fun. It's much more difficult to sit across the table from somebody experiencing homelessness or to, go help build a house or whatever, like things that we would say locally, the things that we primarily focus on are things like food insecurity and homelessness and affordable housing and human trafficking and really complicated issues in our communities and in every community. And the vision that we felt like we got over these last 5-6 years as we got more focused on this was, what if there are phenomenal agents, great-hearted people all over the country that are running great real estate businesses that also care about the flourishing of their community, that through partnership and through a collective focus could improve their impact, improve their business, improve their social connectivity. Everybody longs for loving relationships and meaningful work. That's what the Harvard study on happiness shows us. And if we could help improve their relationships together and also improve the focus of their work, help provide more meaning to their work, look out. What could we accomplish? And so that dream that we actually can have an impact on flourishing causes in every major metro area through real estate professionals running phenomenal businesses. And we do that through connecting with great partners like you. And so for us, this is a dream to partner with other folks in other markets that care about the same things, that we all linking arms say, look out, because we're coming. So I love that. Back to you, Craig. Question for you. I mean, what do you hope this turns into? Like, what is your dream for your business or for your impact or for the next chapter in your life? Just dream with us for a minute about where you see this going.
Yes, I think you just kind of like, you just nailed the whole thing right there. It's like, this is just it, right? So the one major thing that I will say personally that I've experienced in this most recent transition of this new season that we're going to get into is that my internal mindset, I'm not really focused on, hey, we got the biggest team in the world. Like we're like selling all these houses and doing all these millions of dollars of production. Like there's been such a transformation because our industry is like riddled with that kind of thought process, right? It's like we find our worth in how much we sell and how many people we help and blah, 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 as far as like selling houses and making a name for ourselves. But what I'm focusing on right now is, what kind of an impact are we able to do? How do we multiply the impact that we're having in the world and in our local cities, in our communities, in our homes? Like, how do we do that better and tell those stories? So, I think what I envision is I envision us connecting with people who have like mindsets that recognize brokenness in their personal lives first. They want to improve themselves. They also see in their friend groups or their community, like their families, they want to see that those relationships improve. Then they want to see their communities, or maybe there's a cause that matters to them. Like you mentioned, whether it be homelessness or sex trafficking or, I don't care, whatever it is that's a burden on those people. And then how do we all link up together to leverage our resources and our collective minds to help each of us individually have a larger impact on the local things that matter to us the most. So when I think about this is like, it's very exciting because it's like the seeds are being planted right now and the army is being collected and gathered together so that we can go ahead and make a greater impact.
Totally. Love it. Hey, Craig, last question. There's probably some folks out there that are watching this video that have a similar burning in their heart to you that says, man, I just want to be a part of something that's doing something bigger. I want to have a greater impact with my business, or I want to focus my local business maybe on a cause that I really care about, whatever that might be. I mean, what message would you have to that person, or what kind of encouragement would you share with them, or anything like that?
Let's talk, right? I mean, like, listen, hey, look, we're all in the same place. None of us have it figured out. So, I mean, like if you are in the real estate space and you have those kind of burdens, you're thinking those things and that's on your heart, reach out to us, send us an email, phone call. Let's just get together and talk and just see what comes out of it. I mean, I think what my experience in my life has been, when you get like-minded people together and we find ways to join together in unity, new ideas happen, new inspirations come about, new opportunities, new relationships. There's relationships that I have that you have, that Dave, you and I have relationships that are going to be beneficial to each other to know that we don't even know yet because we haven't had the conversations yet, right? So I know that there's so many people out there that have the same mindset that we have, that have experiences that we don't have ideas that we haven't thought about yet collectively together. How do we get together? Call us, talk to us. If you are like this, if you are the kind of person that's thinking the kind of things that you're hearing in this conversation, please, please, please reach out to us and let's just have a conversation and just meet each other and talk.
Totally. Good stuff. Well, man, I love your heart. Love what's coming together here. I can't wait to see what is possible when, right now, 40 of us, but someday 50, 60, 100, 200, 2,000 people with like-minded, oriented passion for their community say, let's all seek the peace and prosperity of our communities together. It's awesome. So
we're gonna make a difference, bro.
Let's go. I appreciate taking a couple minutes today, Craig, and I'll drop in the comments. I'll drop some ways that people can connect with you if they want to reach out for an email or phone call or something like that. But cool, man. Well, I appreciate it. Talk to you later.
All right, bro.